Smash 64 really is a unique game. Now when people tell me what Smash to get into first, I always recommend them Smash 64, just by how simple the mechanics are and how easy the combos are to perform compared to the other Smash games. Now when people think of Smash 64, they think, oh my god, it's Hit Stun Simulator. Now while we have a lot of hit stun, you gotta remember this was the first Smash Bros. And its inspiration were from fighting games, so if you look at a fighting game, you can see a cool little combo happen and maybe a little finish to end your opponent. And in Smash 64, I really do feel like Smash 64 is more about the combos and more fighting game-esque compared to the other Smash games. What makes this beautiful is every single character, no matter how good they are, can do cool combos. That means you don't have to worry about if your character is good. You could play whatever character you want and still do cool combos and get flashy kills. That's what I love about 64.
Oh! Donkey Kong!
One of the coolest things Smash 64 did was you can see the characters model as you're selecting them. I really like this because when you see the character, you're like, damn, that character looks cool as hell. And you can see the full model. The biggest problem I have with newer Smash games is I can't see what the full color outfit is. In Smash 64, you can go ahead and click it and look at all the colors, see which one's your favorite. Now, I know this is not an issue when you play the Smash game enough, but I think it's really cool that when you click the character, you can see their little victory animation, they'll make a little sound. It just feels awesome to see that. When it comes to newer Smash games, sometimes I really don't know what I'm selecting. Like, I can see Sephiroth here has two costumes with his shirt off, and I can't tell which one is which. I like when he has the black pants. Yeah, you can see kind of with the hilt that the hilt is a different color, but if I'm in a tournament setting and the screen is small and I'm sitting back, or God forbid I play with a bunch of friends and there's more than 5 players, I have no idea what that costume is. I think it's really cool that 64 is the only game that does this. It's really charming. Smash 64 is the only Smash game that has no spot dodging. People might see this as a negative, but it's actually a big benefit for players who play on the platforms, because plat drop is extremely easy in this game. You just tilt the shield down on any platform and you go down. It's very beneficial for combos and movement, so the platforms don't feel as sticky as like other Smash games. This opens up other avenues as well, such as running plat drops, which is not something you can do in other games. You could probably do it in Melee, but it's extremely hard. You probably have to tool assist to do that. But in Smash 64, it's extremely easy to do. We also don't have forward Bs. Now, people might not like that, but it's actually a blessing in disguise. You can do a lot of movement tech with just a neutral special. If you're playing any other Smash game, you have to gently move the stick in order to change your direction when you're shooting with Fox, for example. You can easily do cool things with characters, such as this Luigi edgeguard with the fireball. If you're playing any other Smash game, it's kind of hard, and you got to be very gentle with the stick, but in Smash 64, you're good to go. There are no wall techs in Smash 64, so you could do even crazier combos when you include walls or the stage. A lot of defensive options in Smash 64 are stripped, so the only option is to be even more aggressive. Oh no.
Sir, please! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Once you get comboed in Smash 64, it's not over. People think it's 0 to death simulator, but if you DI, or SDI in the new Smash Bros terms, you can get out of combos, or attacks, or setups. The thing with Smash 64 is it has the highest SDI out of any Smash game possible. We don't have normal DI, but we have SDI. So you can escape Kirby up tilts, though it's very hard, and you can escape multi-hits pretty easily by just wiggling your control stick to the direction you want to go in. I wanted to quickly mention as well, there is no air dodging in Smash 64. A lot of people are confused. There is no air dodging. So when you want to get down from the ground, you gotta actually plan out how do you want to get down. Either an attack, either a move that has some evasion, maybe use your double jump and get out of there. You just can't use air dodge in this game. There is none. And this might be my own personal opinion, but I feel like in newer Smash games, air dodging is a crutch. I really like when people try to land without air dodge. One of my favorite screens in Smash 64 is the character data. Now, if it looks familiar, that's because it is. This is what prompted trophies in the future games. But the difference is Smash 64 actually has the characters doing moves, doing their victory animations in the little corner to your left. This was great in 1999 because, I mean, quite frankly, not a lot of us had internet, and you could learn about the characters and who they were. Fun fact, like 0.0001% of Smash 64 players know this, but if you hold Z and move your analog, you can move the character in this screen. I'm telling you, 10 out of 10 people I ask, they don't even know about this. Board the Platforms is unique to only Smash 64. It never made a return. Instead, future games would just use Break the Targets only. The cool thing about Board the Platforms is it would teach you how to use the movement of your character. If you were new to the game and of course you did not have internet, the game would teach you how to use these moves correctly by trial and error. For example, you have to use the rock in Kirby's level to get through the bumpers. And most notably that I know from my childhood is for Jigglypuff's Board the Platforms, you can't make it to the end unless you actually use pound to get there, which I didn't know as a kid, but it helps you learn and helps you understand this is what you gotta do to get past that obstacle. In every other Smash game, we have charge smashes. So if you try to set up for an edge guard, you can go ahead and charge smash by the ledge and let go as soon as you know the person's close enough. But in Smash 64, you can't do that. You need to be precise. This is something I enjoy because instead of holding down the button and waiting till they get closer, you need to understand your moves better than anyone else and time it correctly. Yes, you still time it correctly when you're charging a charge smash, but in 64 it's a little different because you can't just hold on to it and wait. Charge smashes not being in the game makes me appreciate shield break punishes much more. In newer Smash games, you could just charge forward smash or whatever's the strongest move and get the kill. In Smash 64, you actually need to devise a setup to kill your opponent. I know in other Smash games you can still do setups, but if they're high enough percent, there's no point in the setup. You just go for the charge smash. And since we're on the topic of shields, let's talk about shield break combos. In this game, shield stun is incredibly high, which leads to shield break combos. This game rewards players for learning shield break combos, and because you can actually do shield break combos often, it also rewards players who practice 0 to deaths after doing these shield break combos. Some of these combos are easier than others. Some of these combos are not too hard, not too easy. And some of these shield break combos are really hard. In future Smash titles, I usually see a character do a single hit to break the shield, and then do a single attack, a charge smash attack, to finish off the opponent. Which is alright, but it makes me appreciate Smash 64 that much more because of how complicated and intricate it can be. A lot of music in this game is very unique. I mean, it makes sense, this is the first Smash Bros. But for example, here's how the tutorial sounds in Smash 64. Here's how the tutorial sounds in every other game. A similar case happens with this game's Battlefield and this game's Final Destination. In the other games, they usually remix the main theme for their Battlefield and Final Destination, but in Smash 64, Battlefield has a totally unique song, and Final Destination has a totally unique song. On the topic of music, take a listen. This is the menu music for Smash 64, right? No, it actually isn't. The menu music is completely different. Everyone thinks this is the menu music, but this is the character select music. Now in Smash 64, it is the only Smash game that has a song for when you're in the menus versus a song when you're in the character select screen. Here is the song that plays when you're in the menus. Now as a kid, this song actually terrified me. I was like 3 years old, I couldn't read, so I would get lost in the menus, and because I would get lost in the menus, my only option was to drop the controller and run away. I am being dead serious. Now as a grown-up, the song is actually very peaceful, but it's very interesting because this song is not selectable as a menu song in future Smash games. The game felt like it had a lot of mystery and magic, especially when you go against Master Hand, the little sound that plays. And when you defeat Master Hand, it plays this somber tune. I just think Smash 64's music is on another level. I love the direction they went with this game. And if anyone knows uniqueness about Smash 64 music, it would be the lead musician of Smash Remix. Pringles, could you explain a little something about Smash 64's music?
If I had to describe Smash 64's soundtrack to someone, I would just play the intro to Hyrule Castle. In those few seconds alone, you hear the most defining traits of the soundtrack. Its signature brass sample, its heavy use of arpeggios, and its orchestral arrangement style. While future Smash games would include music with similar ideas, the series generally shifted away towards more dramatic and intense tracks.
Alright, no more music facts, you music nerd.
Oh my god, no!
Thank you, Pringles.